Hello, everyone. So today we have a panel for you about social media, digital strategy. If you have a startup or you work for one, you've probably heard of it. Maybe you're even involved in it. But the question is, what are the opportunities and what are the worries? It's something that a lot of us work in, trying to chart that path. So today we have three great panelists for you. We have Joe Fallett from Yambu. We have Ajay Corey from Urban Stems. And we have Amelia Friedman from Hatch Apps. So to start with, could we please just have everyone introduce your business and sort of discuss what you guys do and sort of how your business uses social media?
Sure. So I'm Joe Fallett. I'm co-founder and CEO of Yambu. Yambu is a biometrics company, so we're B2B2C. So we focus on payments, access, so for instance, facility access, and also rewards. I'll give you two quick examples of that. You go to a coffee shop, pay by fingerprint, instantly earn rewards, hashtag pay naked. We trademarked that term too, don't need anything to pay. Or if you go to a place like a gym, you can get in with your fingerprint, pay by fingerprint for retail items, even check into a PT session by fingerprint. And so we do digital advertising, we do it to generate buzz, and also really get inbound sales leads, and I can talk more about that later.
Cool. Hi guys. This mic doesn't work. Yeah,
you can try that one.
Cool. Thanks, man. I'm Ajay. I'm one of the founders and chairman of Urban Stems. We deliver flowers in about an hour for $35 of free delivery. And we started here in DC, and now we're nationwide.
Hi, I'm Amelia Friedman, and I'm one of the co-founders at Hatch Apps. We built a platform that makes it possible for people to build and deploy a mobile app without coding. And we are also a DC company based at 18th and K.
Okay, so start off, biggest social media success and biggest social media failure. That could be digital strategy or Facebook, Twitter.
I guess I can start. I don't think we have one big success or failure, so I guess I'll just give you examples. On the failure side, we fairly recently ran a campaign where we're a biometric payment company, pay by fingerprint. And so we thought to generate buzz, we'd have people dress up their fingers as finger puppets and then submit the best photos of them that they could. And so we put that out on social media, invited people in a contest to dress up their fingers, and we got a whole 4 submissions. So it didn't exactly work out as we had thought. And even beyond that, we gave $200 to the winner, and they were horrible. It was like a pencil drawn on finger. I mean, it looked terrible. So didn't exactly fulfill the intent of the campaign. On the success side, again, I don't think there's one big success that we've had to date. I think one thing we do pretty well, to toot our own horn, is we're a B2B2C company. So we sell to merchants, for instance, sell to a coffee shop to get end users signed up to pay by fingerprint. And so we are big advocates for our customers, the coffee shops, the fitness centers, indoor play facilities that we service. And so every time they come on board, we do a big launch post about them, and then we encourage over time to keep posting about those businesses.
Oh, no, it's fine. Our biggest failure was pretty well documented at this point, especially by the Post. Thanks, guys. But it was last Valentine's Day. Just to give you a bit of background, in the floral industry, you have about a 20x spike on holidays compared to a normal day for flower delivery. And so on Valentine's Day, we had 20x the number of bouquets going out the door, but we were operating out of the exact same space that we operate out of every day, which our fulfillment center here in DC is at 16th and L. It's in an office building. We had enough staff, we had enough flowers, we had enough delivery people, we had everything we thought we needed. The one thing that we overlooked was space. And so through the night, as we were preparing bouquets and putting them up on the racks to be picked up by couriers, we started running out of space, and an alphabetized system started falling apart. And as couriers started coming in, they couldn't find their bouquets, so we had to pull the afternoon prep staff off of what they were doing to re-prep morning bouquets that couldn't be found, and couriers were waiting around an hour or two before they could even go out the door. So as you can imagine, what ended up happening is the deliveries were hours late, and people were reaching out in mass. And we had enough our social media team and our customer care team was staffed up for a normal amount of incidents, or a normal percentage of incidents of what we were expecting. But that cascade of customers calling in and reaching out to us on social media essentially forced us to shut off our phones and stop responding on Twitter and stop responding on Facebook. And when you're a customer who's ordered a bouquet for your Valentine, for your girlfriend, partner, whoever, and it just doesn't show up, and then we stop responding on social, I understand why so many people yelled at me. It was just it was a complete shutdown of communication from us to our customers. And the way that we recovered was we essentially shut down the company over the next couple of days, delivered every bouquet, fully refunded everyone automatically, reached out to everyone, personally called every single person, delivered every single bouquet, even though we had fully refunded them, and then asked them, what else can we do for you to make it up to you or the person you're delivering flowers to? And we also included my personal cell phone number in that email to the tens of thousands of customers that we screwed up with. And I was on the phone nonstop for 3 days with very angry people. Actually, I will say this, people are incredibly nice when they call, and then I pick up the phone, and they're like, is this really Ajay? Is this really the CEO? And I'm like, yeah, I'm here. We screwed up. I'm sorry. And then they immediately turn around because they just don't expect me to pick up the phone. So yeah, that was our biggest failure. But after that, we actually surveyed every single one of those customers who we screwed up the delivery with, and we said, would you use us again? And the ratio of people who said, I will never use you again to I will never use another flower company again was 1 to 50. So it ended up being one of our biggest successes and one of the reasons that I think we've grown as big as we have.
It's a great recovery. How about you, Amelia?
I don't know, I follow that one. I have to say, as a buyer of Urban Stems, I was super impressed by how you guys handled that. Came out of a tough situation. So our biggest successes and our biggest failure, I would say one of our biggest successes on social media has been when we've created, has been associated with original content. So for example, we created a microsite. Again, we're an app builder. We're a platform where you can go and you can build an app without coding, kind of like a Squarespace for apps. So a lot of our customers, they were looking to understand software development, understand the language of it. They're talking to developers and firms shopping around. So we created a flashcard web app on different technical terms, and then we shot it out into the world, and it went super viral. We had our website, our traffic went up by 20-fold. They weren't all super qualified leads, but a lot of those folks were then downloading the associated content, and it was a really great win for us. So, and we've had a couple other examples around that when we've created that sort of original content that has been really interesting to our buyer. Biggest failure, I think we've really struggled when we're not prepared for something to hit. So, for example, we've had a lot of press hits that we were really proud of, and we just realized that we had no way of kind of distributing or making sure that our audience was aware of what happened. At the one that I was actually in a room with Joe when this happened, we were featured an entrepreneur as one of the top 20 companies that investors are watching, alongside like Amazon and Robinhood, and we were at the top of the list, and we were like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And I'm pretty sure nobody saw it because we had no way of kind of like iterating and being flexible and making sure that we could distribute that news. So that's really where we failed.
Great. Any advice you have for aspiring startup founders or people who are just starting out? What have you learned from these experiences? What can you take away?
Oh yeah, you don't even have a mic. All right, I can start. All right, I think first, have a really good support network. Maybe this sounds trite, but it is going to be far harder than you could ever imagine. It's going to take longer than you think. The average startup today, it's actually to get to break even is taking longer and longer. It used to be 7 years. It's actually approaching about 10 years right now. So I'll say, make sure that you're in it, you have the energy and the time to commit to a startup when you get into it. And then I would just say, don't get whiplash. This is something that when I first started out, I was always following bright, shiny objects, right? We got an advisory board that was far smarter than I was. You know, we're biometrics and payments, and I'm quite frankly a business generalist, a former strategy consultant. And so when I would talk to biometric advisors or when I would talk to finance advisors or other experts that served on our advisory team, I'd always be inclined to take their advice very directly. And so what I would say is, no one is going to work on your startup harder than you are. You're going to live, eat, sleep, and breathe it. And so when people give you advice, they've thought about your business probably for a whole 30 seconds. And it's not that the advice shouldn't be considered. What I would say is take all of that great advice, stir it in a pot, and then almost forget about it. Just make the decision that's right for your business. And then the other thing that I would say is that you're going to feel like there's one right answer sometimes. There's generally not, right? And I think that this is just good life advice. There's multiple right paths to potentially go down. I mean, we went through this where we tested every market under the sun for being able to pay by fingerprint, earn rewards, access facilities. We did food trucks, watching people just drop terminals on the ground, and we're like, why the heck are we even here? This is stupid. You know, we did sit-down restaurants, we did fast food, fast casual, and we found our niche in fitness and family entertainment centers. So what I would say is test and learn. The market's the ultimate decider. There's no right answer. And then just grit. Have a ton of grit. You're going to have some really bad days, but just sort of get through it.
It's really good advice. Wish I had heard you talk 5 years ago. I would say just do it. I think a lot of people, when they think, you know, I want to start a company, they think about like, oh, what investors am I going to have? Like, what business plan should I put together?
Where is this going to go wrong?
Where is this going to go wrong? You can't possibly anticipate any of those things. Your business plan will change so many times in the span of a month. There's no point even putting it down on paper when you start. When we started Urban Stems, we took my co-founder Jeff's car. We drove to Costco. We picked up a bunch of flowers. We emailed all our friends and said, hey, we're delivering flowers today. Let us know if you want us to drop some off with someone you care about. And through that process, we learned about, you know, the delivery process. We learned about what people are willing to pay, how frequently they wanted to send flowers, what types of flowers they wanted. We just did it. And then as we continue to have more and more demand, we start putting the infrastructure in place. We started hiring delivery drivers who weren't us, which was a huge customer experience improvement. We hired someone to design the bouquets, which was an even bigger customer experience gain. And then you just kind of build as you're going. I mean, a lot of entrepreneurs describe it as building the plane as you're falling off the cliff. And though that sounds scary, it's the much smarter way of doing things.
Is actually really similar to what I was going to say. So no, I'm glad you said it because you said it smarter than I would.
Blown up her spot.
Who here is a parent? Like, raise of hand. Okay, now keep your hand raised if you were ready for your first kid. Okay, we got a couple people here. I feel like it's pretty similar for starting a company. There's very little you can do to really prepare yourself for it. The way we actually funded this company, and I do think that it's important to do as much research as you can in your market, et cetera, but there's really only a certain amount that you can really learn. Joe's gonna see this in a month when he becomes a parent.
I'm terrified, by the way. I have no idea what I'm doing.
We actually, to fund our company, and I think that this is just a really accessible example. When we first started the company, we were really young. We didn't have any money at all. So we were like, this is back in January of 2016 during presidential primaries. And we were like, what can we sell a lot of that we can just make some fast money and invest in the company? And we ended up putting a satirical card game around the presidential election. And we just literally came up with the idea, came up with 3 cards, printed them out on an inkjet printer, cut them out, put them on our website, wrote "Make Card Games Great Again." And the next week we had gone super viral. We had done $50,000 in sales. And then we were like, oh my goodness, now we didn't even know what the cards were gonna say, let alone like how they're gonna be designed or distributed or whatever. But if we had, and that was like a tremendous amount of time. I mean, for a while people were like, are you a tech company? Are you a card game company? And we were like, we really don't know. But the point there is that we could have done that, whatever that is, 300 hours of pre-work and figuring out the distribution, figuring out the cost, figuring out all of that stuff before we started. But then there was like really like probably like 90% chance it was gonna fail. Like we got lucky in a lot of ways. And if we had done all that work beforehand, first of all, I don't know if we would have known as much about our customer, but secondly, like I think it could have been a colossal waste of time. So you're never gonna be ready. If you wanna start a company, you have a great idea, just do it, just jump, because regardless of what you do, you're gonna learn a lot through it. And like, as long as you don't put your entire life savings in it, like really, like what's the worst that can happen?
Okay, we've got a few minutes left. Want to open it up for the audience. Does anybody have a question?
Hi, I'm Megan. I had a question specifically about how important digital media and social media is or was in the beginning towards the growth of each of your companies.
It hasn't been if I'm being super honest, we're a B2B company. It hasn't been a huge priority for us. But when we did that little foray into consumer, it was hugely important.
It was really important for us. Digital channels are expensive. Google AdWords and Facebook, which we very much rely on these days now that we're a much bigger company. But when you're a smaller company without funding, social media is one of the easiest ways to, develop influence or bring in influencers, bring in people who really care about like what you're doing and will evangelize you. So one of the ways that we launched New Cities when we first started was we would find some of the most influential people in each city and just send them all flowers all at once.
That's how you found your chief of staff.
Yeah.
Now our chief of
staff. Now he's awesome, and now he's chief of staff at Hatch. But yeah, we essentially found these influencers, inundated them with flowers, and they inevitably talked about it and started building a buzz that way. I think social media is invaluable for early stage companies.
I think for us, we had an initial geographic approach, so we were focusing on DC, Maryland, and Virginia. But to be honest, we weren't entirely sure what we were selling. So like, we knew that we wanted to do biometric payments, but did we mix it with rewards? Did we mix it with access? So if we went off and did a whole bunch of social media posts around fitness, and then it could have been wrong, we could have spent a whole bunch of money that was wasted. But I think, in answer to your question, we knew that we wanted to focus on the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. So we did sort of general posts to build buzz and really position us as experts in the biometric space, experts in the payment space, try and build up trust and credibility. But then we didn't invest a lot in it, I think, until we really figured out the core markets that we wanted to target.
I think we have time for one more.
My name is Drew Shaw. I'm a master's student at GW. I'm looking into starting into the tech space a little bit. My question is, what skills have you guys developed in your experiences thus far that have helped you learn quicker and produce content or produce products faster to be able to meet the demand at a more efficient rate?
I can venture a response. I don't know. I think it depends upon, you need to put together a team, right, that has collectively the right set of skills. So, like, I am not a coder. I am a management consultant, sort of a generalist by background. So I knew I needed a founder who could essentially lead a development team. Our co-founder, Derek Sanford, is an amazing CTO. His former company was sold to Ace Hardware. And so I knew that was a prerequisite to starting. So I'd say focus on figuring out a good team. But then in terms of like the actual skills that you need, I think some of it you're just going to learn in terms of trial by fire. So like how to manage people. Like I'm glad that I took a basic finance course to understand what a P&L looks like. I'm glad that I actually knew a little bit about statistics to do A/B testing and understand how to look at a data set. I think those are classes that I was very happy that I took. But I think some of it is you just got to go through the fire and learn as you go.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. There's no specific set of skills that you need. I think it's a lot more about personality traits, actually. I was lucky. I was mentored by Mark Laurie, who started Quidsy, Diapers.com, Soap.com, Wag.com, those sites. He sold that to Amazon for $500 million and then started Jet.com and sold that for $3.5 billion. He's an amazing guy, and I've had a lot of conversations with him. And one of the ones that sticks out most to me, I remember I asked him, I was like, if you could only pass down one trait to your kids, what would it be? Without hesitation, he said resilience. For a startup founder, you need to you're a tiny company going up against other companies that have 50 times more resources. And the way that you win as a startup is you do the things that they can't do. You try the things that their committees won't allow them to do or they're too slow to do. Doing those things means that you're gonna fail a lot. And the people that succeed, the entrepreneurs that win, are the ones that are okay failing and learn from each one of those lessons and then do it and then try again and keep trying till they hit that thing that truly is innovative that allows them to build something that's really valuable in the world. So resilience is, I can't take a class for it, but I think it's extremely important.
Amen on both of those.
Okay. Well, that's time up for us. Thank you guys so much for taking
Amelia
the time.
has a call at 1, so.
Thanks, guys.